Now, for some time, there has been a renewed campaign to deal with filth in the country, especially filth in Accra, Kumasi, and the major cities in the country. The Graphic Communications Group was meant to assemble interest groups in sanitation to look at how to keep Ghana clean. At an event to kickstart the process, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Joseph Kofiada, said Zoomlion Company Limited must be blamed for the sanitation problem the country faces.
The situation we've been confronted with from last year, 2017, to now, I blame it squarely on him because of the visibility of the waste in the system. First of all, it's not a case that we're generating any waste more than we're generating before, but it is the fact that the waste is seen more visibly in public places. And I think it is the situation that comes out of Zoomlion not being able to deploy the workers on the streets regularly to sweep, clean, gather and transport the waste away from where they're supposed to be operating. I also think strongly that this arises out of the fact that he's taking the street sweepers on board as staff members, whereas they should have been left with the assemblies. When the idea of the sanitation module was crafted in the youth employment program, it was my brainchild. He made a proposal to take the employees of the youth employment program under the sanitation module and put them under his outfit. And I said, no, that should not happen. First of all, it's a government employment program. Secondly, it's the assemblies who are directly responsible for cleaning up the waste. So we should allow the workers to be working directly with the assemblies and paid by the youth employment program so that they can be in the streets every day collecting the waste and be managed or supervised by a team. At the time, we didn't have a strong sanitation outfit nationally, so we allowed him to come in on a management contract to supervise and make sure they are doing the right thing. Along the streets, whether you give them a kilometer each or whatever length of distance of street you give to them, you supervise and make sure they're there every day on time, sweeping, collecting, and so on and so forth. I don't know how it happened that he went back and took all the staff on board. And then he's supposed to be in charge of the actual cleaning and then supervision as well, which I don't think is right. Secondly, the payment arrangement, it's something that doesn't motivate the workers to do a good job. For you to be billing and collecting 500 cedis a day and paying them 100 cedis, here it's gone up to 129, 150. And
it's still 100 cedis that I'm aware.
Well, somebody just told me yesterday that it's gone up to 120. Others said 150. I'm not so sure which is which. But I know from a visit to my constituency, somebody actually came up and told me they were still earning 100 cedis. I wonder why it would take so long for them to be paid. But when we were paying them under the youth employment program, and when they were directly under the assemblies, that wasn't the case. So I think he's the cause of the problem by allowing the workers to be under him, whereas they should be under the local authorities. I think if that's done in the first instance, we begin to see the environment being clean. We'll be sweeping, collecting the waste, conveying away from site, and there will not be any heaps of refuse anywhere. So he's a contributor to that.
Now, CEO of the Jospong Group, Joseph Japong, in response assured his outfit is working in tidying up the country.
You will help Zoomlion and nurture it, and it have grew. It is time for us to support you as a Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources. And I want to assure you that you have our serious support of our partners. We will help you to deliver. The 1 million beans is one of the passion. To solve all the issues in this country, let's deal with the basis. When you are having waste and you are a professor, you are a doctor, whatever you are a businessman, you have to discharge it. If you don't have a bin, you put it on the floor. So let us tackle the fundamental ones. Let's have a dustbin as a campaign. I will plead with the acting managing director that in Galamsey, you have to stop people and take their bulldozer. In waste campaign, you can't take the waste from them. You have to find a bin so that they discharge into it. So let us look at how the campaign goes. There have been several public education, there have been so many jingles, so many music about waste, so many National Sanitation Day, so many talking, nothing has happened. My prayer is that this should be the last kind of conference we are having. And we should deal with having a bin in the house so that you tackle it. Waste is a culture. If you are walking and you want to wee-wee and you don't have a place, you find a wall. You can't hold it. The same thing when you eat banana on the street, you can't put it in your pocket. You will discharge it. So get them a bin on the street, a bin in the house, and that is the simple, so that you can put everything on it. Without this, you can have a billboard and everything, nothing will happen. We have also the lighter plastic like the sachet water. We have a factory that we recycle them and then to produce bin lines out of this. We are aware about the 100-year problem of Lavender Hill. Zoomlion. It was not part of our core mandate, sweeping on the street and other things. But we all saw that this is a challenge to this country. And this was why Ghana was termed as the 7th dirtiest country, the UNICEF and wherever, everybody called me Ghana. And we just went in and converted the place to this. Today, you don't have the order at Lavender. 100-year problem. 100-year problem has been solved by Zoomlion. So with this, what can't we solve in this country? What can't we solve? If a 100-year problem is being solved by Zoomlion, what can't we solve? What can't we solve? We can solve every problem. Once we are engaged and once we are involved, we will show you. Because we came into this business with a passion that we want to make a mark and then go external.
And in related developments, German investor who has been in the country for 30 years has identified indiscriminate waste disposal, particularly plastics, as a deterrent for tourists who may want to visit the country. Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of the Independence Day celebrations, Joe Arkim, who has participated in almost all the commemorations since arriving in Ghana, said the filth that has engulfed the country's beaches, as well as the littering of plastics all over the city, is not attractive to potential investors. He advised on the use of paper or cotton instead of plastics as shopping bags.
From Germany, they all speak English, and they would love to come to Ghana more and more. But and I know tourism is a very, very good income for a country. But what we have to do in this country, we have to get rid of the pollution. We have to get rid of the plastic pollution. We have to get completely rid of plastic bags. If you go to Tamale, up to the horizon, everything is black. If you go to Pram Pram, if you go to Ada, wherever, every beach, they are full with plastic. So we have to stop to produce and import plastic bags. This is the biggest problem I see for the future. We need tourism in Ghana, and there are 100,000 of tourists that would like to come.
But then you think that they are being prevented because of the pollution that we have here?
It's particularly plastic in the seaside. If you go to Pram Pram, if you go to Winneba, along those beach, it is sometimes 1 yard and even more just plastic and plastic and plastic. And we just have to stop plastic production. And this is one of my biggest concern. I would be so happy if Ghana joins in and forgets about plastic production.
How has Germany solved this issue?
We have solved it in a way that every plastic bag is paid for with 20 cents. And that makes people to think about it, and they go back to their own bags of natural leather or cotton, and use cotton or paper, but mostly cotton, and they use them more and more.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has vowed to make Ghana the cleanest country in Africa. This promise, however, seems unrealistic to many who claim not much is being done by government to achieve the ambitious target. Well, for some citizens, fighting filth must take on a musical tinge. A gospel artist, Jacqueline Kumsin, has composed a song titled Yentu Efiase, which she believes will inspire Ghanaians to keep their environment clean.
The shaming crime, mammy to me, the mean to me about out and say, send a bema when you dear ebeba ebema malaria any yarin kitten won't mind soon a bit to me abba from. If you say what shay and gattesa in Sioka crowd tope, na and gattes in Yanamu SCC. If you say in Ra I gattes in the mumma.
My motivation for coming out with this album is to see a clean Ghana where records of malaria and other filth-related diseases are reduced. You'll bear with me that whenever it rains, our gutters get choked, all because of the filth. So I'll plead with everyone to stop putting rubbish in the drains. Wherever I pass, I see rubbish loitered everywhere. I see the display of human waste in all our drains. Why? This is so disturbing. That's why I think my music will be the icebreaker in educating people to keep clean environments, especially to keep the drains rubbish free.
No, Roberts, near the ending to me and Cabebois on mine.
So let's hear the lyrics and how far it can help us to keep a clean Ghana.
Okay. So my baby, ne free miniwa, ne free miniwa. So my Ghana baby, ne free miniwa, ne free miniwa, ne free ya wuni dientia. Enti so my baby, so my Ghana baby, Ghana me no disabe ya. Ya yo my Ghana mumye ni ehunio. Oh my Ghana yeni ehunio.
Well, on that musical note, let's take these important messages. But when we come back, we'll take you to the Ashanti region, where in the Ejisuman Senior High School, some alleged victims of sexual abuse are asking for an alternative center to write their examinations. We'll be going there after these messages. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Food and Drugs Authority say they will need more time to know the toxic substance in the corn flour that killed 6 people in Akakpokohe in the Volta region. Maxwell Agbagba has been following the story and he reports.
We've submitted the samples, all right, and then there's toxicological investigation that is going on. But there are 2 scenarios here. If you know the agent that is the causative agent and you are working towards it, it becomes easier because you set your limits and then you work towards it and then you say, voila, I'm there, I've gotten it. But in this situation, we don't know what the causative agent is, and then it's like you are on a minefield. You are in a field of an unknown looking for something. So it wouldn't take just some few minutes, some few hours, some few weeks or some few days to be able to determine what is actually the agent. I know our lab is competent and they are working towards it. They are working towards identifying an agent. But I also know that there are other aspects too that we may have to engage a third-party lab to also help in the toxicological identification of what is happening. So I think we should give them a little time. It's not that we are delaying or we are holding truth from the public, but work is being done and we need to give a little time. But I know that they are contracting a third-party lab in the investigation.
You just heard the Volta Regional Director of the Food and Drugs Authority, Eugene Addo. Now, moving on, the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu is leading a team of members of parliament to the northern region town of Tamale to visit drivers of the tipper trucks which were set ablaze by a contingent of military personnel for winning sand at the Dalun River. The action by the military has received condemnation from chiefs in the region, including the opposition. Joy News' Hashmin Mohammed is with the team and joins us on the phone with more. Hashmin, good afternoon. What has the minority leader been saying to the owners and the drivers of the trucks?
Well, the minority leader has described the action of the military as excessive and unjustifiable on the face of the law, and he has backed a call by the Tipper Drivers Association to head to court to seek legal redress. Now, right now, though, we have moved from Tamale and then we are now in the Kumbungo district. The minority leader is also meeting with chiefs in the area. They are on a fact-finding mission. According to the minority leader, they want to be able to gather enough information so that they can be able to make the case on behalf of the Tipper drivers when they return back to Parliament.
So what have the drivers been telling him?
Well, the drivers are saying that they have been displaced and their livelihood has been affected. And they are saying that for them, they are looking up to the state to come to their aid because they are saying that the action of the military has been very, very excessive. That has rendered them jobless.
Thank you very much, Hashmin Mohammed, for that report. Let's go to the Ashanti region, where victims of alleged sexual abuse at the Ejisuman SHS are asking education authorities to make alternative arrangements for them to write their final exams after continued victimization in school for speaking with the media. Joy News' Erastus Asaridonko joins us on the phone with more. Erastus, what exactly have these students been saying?
Well, since we last spoke with them, we went back to check with them what has been happening at the school. And many of them are asking educational authorities to please find another school for them so they will be able to write their exams in peace. One girl, for instance, is telling me that since she spoke to us, she has been the target of constant verbal abuse by both teachers and the house mistress as well. And in fact, it says that when she's at the dormitory, the house mistress can pop in at any time and start hurling invectives at her, and some name calling on campus as well. And these are the same teachers that they went to testify against. Nothing has happened to them. They are still on campus. They face them every day, and they use them as lecture examples in front of the class. And it's really affecting their study since they are going to write the WASI soon. So they are requesting that, if possible, educational authorities to help them move to another school to be able to prepare adequately for their exam.
Now, Erastus, you have been following this story. What have we heard from the GES and the authorities generally since this investigation began?
In fact, generally, the focus has been on defending the teachers rather than doing anything to help the victims involved. Many of them are angry that the children involved spoke with the media, and so that has been the focus of all the authorities. You call them and they start talking about why the students should speak with you, why you should interview the students, rather than even finding solutions to the problem. We understand that the report should be ready and sent to the Regional Educational Directorate today. But as at the time I'm speaking with you, we checked, but then it has not landed yet. So we are still waiting by close of day to see if the report will come up.
Erastus, we'll come back to you when that report is ready. Thank you very much for giving us that update. Charity, they say, begins at home. These are the concluding remarks of President of the Foundation for Orthopedics and Complex Spine Hospital, Professor Oheneba Boachi J, while advocating local support for the treatment of children needing specialized medical attention at the facility. This follows the commissioning of the newly built Wayne Clare Healand Children's Block. With this new block, children undergoing treatment at Focus are guaranteed the specialized care they need and the continuation of their academic work while on admission. MFA Atiamwa Eli has more.
The 16-bed capacity children's block also houses a learning and activity center to enable the children continue with their schoolwork while on admission receiving treatment. 14-year-old Gifty Amuzo stopped school due to her spinal problem. Today, she finds herself at Focus. Apart from the medical treatment, Gifty says she can now catch up with her mates back in school because of this new children's block.
I'm chilling the aircon, the everything, the doctors good, the teachers. I play bingo, toys, games, and cars, and every great games.
A lot more children, particularly those in Ghana, could benefit from this facility if only they get the financial support. This, however, is currently not the case. President and founder of Focus, Professor Ohiniba Boache, encouraged local philanthropists to help save the lives of these children.
We have to look at the example of others. We've come here and we have built this complex with the support of benefactors and philanthropists, mostly from the United States. I'd really like to see more local action. I would like to see Kofi Mensah's name outside the building.
Prior to the construction of Wayne Clare Haaland Children's Block, the children shared space with adults. According to Professor Ohiniba Boache, the situation did not enable the administration of the optimum service required for either groups of patients.
As a specialty hospital and have a dedicated age-related block is really, really helpful because then the children can bond. They can also receive pediatric care. We have nurses who are specializing in pediatric medicine and orthopedics. They also have special needs. Pediatric orthopedic patients' needs are different from the adults. These are kids who are growing. They are going through multiple operations. Some are here for a long period of time. And therefore, to mix them with the adults sometimes can be very disruptive.
It will be recalled that Joy News, in collaboration with Focus, held the first fundraising dinner last year. It was, among others, to put up a children's block. With proceeds from that dinner and the immense support from the Wayne Clare Haaland family in the USA, that dream is now a reality.
Now, in some parts of the Upper East region, custom does not allow men to marry women from the same community or village. Therefore, if a man impregnates a woman from within his own community, he loses his rights to claim the child as his own, even if he wants to take responsibility. However, in what appears to be a contradiction to the custom, amorous relationships between people from the same community are not exactly discouraged, and this has created a situation where many children are born out of such relationships, grow up without proper parenting. For our Joy News agenda on outmoded practices in Ghana, Upper East correspondent Albert Sorry filed this report.
No proper documentation has been made of the exact reasons for the adoption of this customary practice, where a man is not allowed to marry a woman from within his own community or village. The rules regarding the custom therefore vary from one ethnic grouping to the other within the Upper East region. In the Nabdam district, for example, it is believed that some communities were founded by single men who settled there and started families. Their sons later spread to other parts of the same communities and started their own homes. This means members of most communities here are descendants of the same person and therefore cannot intermarry. Napsierik Sobil IV is the chief of Pelungu, a town in the Nabdam district.
So my village here is called Pelungu, and Pelungu is the first son of Zebra. Then Damolge is the second son of Zebra. Then Lore is the third son. And when Pelungu decided to migrate to where I am now, Damolge also decided to go and build his house, and Lore remained with the father. Zalurgo was a female child, and also settled at where we call Zaligu. So these are 3 brothers and a sister. So when that happened, our forefathers, they said, look, you cannot marry your own brother's daughter or your own brother's son.
However, amorous relationships between such persons are not strictly frowned upon, perhaps due to something the forefathers introduced as a way of helping men whose wives did not bear them male children.
Those days they used to put one, like if you have more girls and you don't have a boy, they believe that if you die, the inheritance will end there. Maybe your brother somewhere will come and inherit your property and all that. So they decided that, look, it's better I leave one of my daughters back so that she can probably get me a boy to inherit my property or whatever, than to go out and get somebody who you may not understand the background of that person. So this also brought about this you cannot marry the person, but you can have friendship with the lady or the man in case you need maybe a child, a baby boy, to come and inherit you tomorrow into the future.
This means the custom does not accept marriages amongst persons within the same community, but somehow it makes an excuse for love relationships between these same people. A child born out of such a relationship cannot be claimed by the father as his own, but if the father wants to help cater for the child financially, he is allowed to do so whilst the child remains with the mother's family. This has led to a situation where fathers often lose interest in taking responsibility of children they got out of such relationships. Richard Azenko was born under such a circumstance at Zwarungu. His mother later got married to a different man and left him behind in her family home. Richard recounts the difficulties he went through in life due to the fact that no one felt responsible for his upbringing.
I
was left in the care of my grandmother who was old, so things were not easy for me, he says. I mostly had one meal every day, and the old lady also passed on eventually, so I was almost left to my fate. Even as a child, if I woke up every morning and did not struggle for myself, then I would not eat, he adds. There are many people like Richard who feel ashamed to share their stories because in some communities, being born from such a relationship gives you the tag Tabia, which literally means sister's child or brother's child, basically insinuating that you were born out of perceived incest. But this cannot be true because the persons usually involved in this kind of relationship are not closely related by blood. Head of Department of the Bolgatanga Municipal Social Welfare and Community Development, Mercy Poivra, says her department is often confronted with instances where mothers are reluctant about demanding responsibility from men who impregnated them out of this type of relationship.
The Children's Act says that whether the woman, the child is born in wedlock or out of wedlock, it's not the issue. The issue is that a man has put a woman in the family way, and therefore the man must be committed in taking care of the child together with the woman. It's a shared responsibility. But because this tradition is being practiced for quite some time, to some extent, most of the men eventually desert the woman that they have the child with or the children with. And sometimes the cases that come before us, we try to see how best we can intervene to ensure that the child is properly taken care of. But because it is a practice, most often than not, the women even feel reluctant to come to the department to report such cases.
Richard never got the chance to go to school. He now works as a butcher thanks to support from a relative. He believes that this custom should be abolished because children are the eventual victims of it. Naab Sobil the Fourth says the custom could change someday, but it has to take a gradual process.
Even our own elders, you suggest something to see whether it is possible for you to change this, and the elders will tell you no, because they are still with that mindset. And you as a chief, you cannot force things to change because you work in collaboration with your elders and even other stakeholders. Even this marriage rights, we are given 4 cows. It has always been that we should reduce it. People don't want to understand, but it is now coming, because when you now marry a girl today, they will tell you, oh, okay, give me 1 or 2. If you have your daughter and you say you want 4 cows, you are likely not to get the 4 cows at a go. So I think that with time, some of these things will change. But it cannot be changed in a day. Just one day, you just get and say we are changing this thing. It cannot happen. But with education now coming, everybody wants his daughter or his son to go to the highest level of education.
Outmoded Ghanaian customs are still prevalent in some communities, and the right authorities must act to ensure their gradual elimination or modification to suit current situations of life. For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Bolgatanga.
Interesting one there from Albert in Bolgatanga. You're still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Daze. Emmanuel Awajiri comes your way with the business.